3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, this is Mr. John Ostick from Malvern, Pennsylvania. And today, our juniors that took the AP course this year are going to go over the suggested rubrics for the macro questions. First question, the long question, question number 1 on the 2014 macro exam. We'll have our catcher of our baseball team, Clayton Kanicki, presenting that question.
All right, thanks, Mr. Ostick. Arjun, can you read the question, please?
Yes. Assume that the U.S. economy is currently operating below the full employment level of real GDP with balanced budget. Draw a correctly labeled graph of aggregate demand, short on aggregate supply, long on show each of the following in the U.S. 1. Current output and price levels, labeled as Y1 and PL1, respectively. 2. Full employment output, labeled as YF.
Okay. First, we're going to start with aggregate demand. So here we have the aggregate demand, and that's downward sloping. And then we have the short run aggregate supply is upward sloping right here. And then the long run aggregate supply is just vertical down. And since the economy is under full employment, the connection between the crossing between SRAS and 81 is to the left of the long run aggregate supply. So right here, Y1 is where the current output in the economy is, and when we go over horizontally, we find that it's right here is PL1, where the current price level is. And the long run output would be right below the long run supply, and that's YF. And then thank you for Zach O'Neill from Colgate University for giving us a graph and a poster of this. Next question.
The U.S. government increases spending on goods and services by $100 billion, which is financed by borrowing. How will the increase in government spending affect each of the following? 1. Cyclical unemployment, and 2. The natural rate of unemployment.
Well, the cyclical unemployment would decrease, and the natural rate of unemployment would not change. And we have some graphs on these. So cyclical unemployment is the unemployment where not enough jobs are at the current economic take. And since the economy is in a recession right now, and then the government increasing spending would get rid of this recession, the cyclical unemployment would decrease. And thank you to Chris Schaefer from University of Penn Warren School for that poster.
Chris, could you show the aggregate demand increasing and show on that real output axis why the cyclical unemployment decreases?
Sure. So with the increase in government spending, the aggregate demand would increase. So we shift to the right. And since the economy is closer to the
draw that new equilibrium dot and draw a dotted line down to show that cyclical decrease.
New equilibrium, and the output and the price level would increase, creating a lower cyclical unemployment rate.
And you could just point over here to Y1 to Y2. You see where the the cyclical unemployment rate is reduced.
Yep. But
Very,
the natural rate would not change.
Very good.
Next question, Arjun.
The marginal propensity to consume is equal to 0.75. Calculate the maximum possible change in real gross domestic product that could result from the $100 billion increase in government spending.
Okay, so here we have to find the multiplier. So to find the multiplier, it's just 1 over 1 minus the MPC. So here the MPC is 0.75. So we do 1 over 1 minus 0.75, and that would simplify to 1 over 0.25, which would equal 4. And so we would take $100 billion, multiply it by 4, to equal an increase in $400 billion. Next question.
Using a correctly labeled graph of the loanable funds market, show the effect of the $100 billion increase in government spending on the real interest rate.
Okay, here's the loanable funds market. So the y-axis is the interest rate, and the x-axis is the loanable funds. So here we just have a regular demand and supply graph of the loanable funds. So with the increase in spending, the loanable funds demand would increase creating a higher interest rate and a higher output of loanable funds.
That's because the government has gone in and borrowed money in order to pay for the $100 billion spending.
Yep. Arjun, next question.
Based on the real interest rate change in Part D, what is the effect on the long-run economic growth rate? Explain.
Okay, so the long-run economic growth rate would increase because there would be an increase in demand of foreign buyers for the loanable funds. So with the with the more money being spent in the loanable funds, the long-run aggregate supply would increase.
More foreign investment being attracted to the United States would do what, because of a higher real interest rate, would do what to the long-run aggregate supply curve there?
It would shift to the right.
Could you draw that just to see what that would be the result? And what would happen to the natural rate of unemployment in this case? The natural rate of unemployment in this case?
It would decrease.
Now look, draw it, right, label it F. It would go compared to the original. It would what?
So the natural rate of unemployment would decrease.
Look at it. Going from.
It would increase.
Very good.
Okay, next question.
Now seeing that instead of financing the $100 billion increase in government spending by borrowing, the U.S. government increases taxes by $100 billion. With this equal increase in government spending and taxes, will the real gross domestic product increase, decrease, or remain the same?
Okay, so the real gross domestic product would increase because, as we can see from the multiplier effect, the real GDP is increasing by $400 billion, and then if you increase taxes by $100 billion, it would only subtract $100 billion from this, so it would still increase by $300 billion.
Not exactly. Hold on for a second. Let's do this. So the increase in government spending will change it by that. Now what happens? A tax increase of $100 to pay for it does what to disposable income? Decreases it by $100,000. But consumers won't spend and won't save some of that, right? So you multiply the $100 by 0.75, correct? Meaning consumers won't spend 75, but there's a multiplied effect. We multiply the 75 times 4, and we see, could you draw this? Now a decrease by 300 billion, underneath that, minus 300 billion, because of the increase in tax. Now draw a line and subtract, and let's see what the net effect would be of a balanced budget. This would be, okay, draw a line and subtract. Draw a line, 400 minus 300 is what? There would be still a 100 increase because of the balanced budget, meaning the government spending is more powerful than the tax increase, correct?
Yep.
So we would still have an expansion with a balanced budget to pay for it rather than borrowing it in the first part of the problem.
Yep.
Is that completed?
Yep.
Okay, would you give some credit to the last few posters to wrap up? Very good, Clayton.
Well, the government is using an expansionary policy, so we needed this poster from Eric Kaufman of Johns Hopkins University, so thank you, Eric. For the spending multiplier, we use this poster from Jeff Hagen of Bucknell University. And for the loanable funds market, we use this poster from Tommy Ferrari of the University of Scranton.
Very good. And great job, Clayton, and good luck in the game today.
Thank you.
Cut.